Hey guys, it's my birthday today, and I thought what better way to spend my birthday than to go for my first solo flight. So this video is just what happened. Right now I'm taxiing out. I called the air traffic control to tell them that I'm going out to hold short on 06, and they said okay, go ahead. And I put in my squawk code a little bit earlier. I went up flying with my instructor. Right before I did this, he got out and sent me on my way. So right now I'm just taxiing up. I'm gonna hold short in a second. And, yeah. Alright, so coming up on the threshold now, I'm putting on my brakes. And then I put the power up, and then I put it on park. And I'm taking a look at my checklist, doing all my before takeoffs. Making sure my fuel pumps are on, my mixture is full. Then looking at the attitude indicator, it's still aligning. You can see the little red flag pop up. And then check my transponder, throw it on out, and then checking my doors all latched, check my window, check my harness. And looking down at the trim, making sure that's in the middle. I think about now I'll grab my takeoff time. And there's gonna be a little bit of a cut in the video. I'm grabbing my phone to check. Then I write it down. I should be putting everything away, and then I'll call up the air traffic controller, and then tell them I'm gonna take position and depart. And a little thumbs up, taxiing out on the runway 01 just to get to 06. Checking if there's traffic on final or on the runway. I don't see anybody, so I go ahead. I'm just taxiing forward. No flaps for the takeoff today, so I'm looking for 55 on my takeoff roll. That's when I pitch up, and unfortunately you won't really be able to see it well outside of the window until I get in my crosswind turn, but here I'm putting full power, looking at my speed, making sure I'm still on the center line with my rudders. And once it gets up to 55, that's when I start pulling up. And you can see it's like a total whitewash with this camera. You can't really see anything. But I'm gaining altitude, and then once I get to about 800 or 900 feet, that's when I start my left crosswind turn. And then at about 1300 feet, which is circuit altitude, I'll level off and then start my downwind turn. Okay, so about now, I'll start banking over to the left to start my crosswind. And then once the sun starts flooding into the cockpit, the camera will recognize that and start looking out more. And now you can see Niagara on the lake right in front of us, and you can see Lake Ontario. It's actually a really, really beautiful lake. And now I'm leveled off, I'm decreasing my power so I don't scream along, because I see some guy over to my left in their downwind. And I don't really want to hit them, so slowing it down, and now I'll start making my downwind turn and just taking off a little bit more power, just because I just want to keep 90 knots. Don't really want to go over 100 just for that traffic. So about 2100 RPM does the trick, and then even maybe a little bit less. I can stick around 90. I'm in my downwind now. I got the lake to my right and the airport to my left. And I'm just keeping that heading a 240, complete 180 of 060, which is the runway that I took off on. So I'm keeping that traffic in sight so I don't lose them and so I don't have any conflict with them. And I'll keep it here in the downwind for a little bit longer than usual just because I want to turn in after they turn their final. Alright, so now I'm turning in for my base. I see that the traffic is no conflict, so I go ahead with it. And now I'm turning over. What I like to do is turn over to Niagara Falls. I see the Skylon Tower over there. I just use it as a little reference for my base turn. And now I'm putting in my flaps, 2 clicks for 25 degrees, and now I'm going to pitch for 70 knots for my approach speed. I'm going to knock off a little bit more power because I see I'm a little bit too high. And keep that nose up just so I can get down to that speed, and then pitch down accordingly just to keep that speed. And then in a little bit you'll see me turning for my final, and I think I pull the 3rd notch of flaps for the approach flaps, for the final flaps. And yeah, right here, turning in, I see the traffic is still no conflict and they're about to land. So I bump up the power just a little bit because I see I might be a little bit too low. You don't really need to put in a lot of power to do a lot because the speed creeps up on you. And here I'm just ending the turn for final, and then I'll put in my last notch of flaps right about now. And knock off a little bit more power. Trying to keep my approach speed up. Since I got my 3rd notch in, I'll try to keep for a 65 instead of a 70, but it fluctuates around a little bit since I'm looking at the runway and my airspeed at the same time. But here I'm trimming it out, and I'm about to touch down. You can barely see the runway and the visor. And I think my super ultra duct tape fell off at the front, so you can't really see the touchdown, but here I'm coming in for the approach, aiming for that 65. And then as I'm about to touch down, you'll see me flare since you can't see outside. And 2 hands, flaring, holding it, holding it. And I keep holding until I touch the ground, which is now. I put down my flaps, take out all my power, and start braking for taxiway Bravo. Giving the thumbs up there. It was a really good circuit. I felt really comfortable within it, and it was felt really nice. So now I'm coming up onto Bravo, and then I'm going to put in some right rudder so I can make the turn. And then I do all my taxi checks. I turn off my strobes, turn off my fuel pump, and then put my transponder on VFR, put it on standby, and put the parking brake on. I see it flying around. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you. It was a really fun flight.